Okay, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, where did I go? Okay, cool. Okay. I wanted to, y'all can see me, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so for today's training, I wanted to go over what to do at the end when they tell you no. And um you guys have all seen the beginner sales script. Let me show this, pull it up on the screen. And I've got kind of a universal like hey, if they tell you no, you can basically just say this and it'll do the job. Okay. But I wanted to be able to come up with a more outline version because they say different concerns and you got to be able to adapt to the different concerns. Okay. So let me go back to this outline and I really hope that it can help you guys out. Okay. For the different steps. So, again, remember when we're going through, we share the price with them. Okay. After we share the price, we imagine in our minds that they said, great, sign me up. And then we are like, whoa, let me make sure you know what you're getting into. Then we summarize, and then we go through all of our soft closes. And then we don't sit there and hesitate. Okay. So often you'll sit there, you're about to ask what's your first name, and you're like, I know if I ask for the first name that they are going to tell me no. So you're tempted to either keep selling or fish for the concern. No. We assume the sale. Okay. Actually, okay, this is a story worth telling. Okay. So my mentor Travis tells this story of when he was I don't know, some probably 15 years ago selling alarms. Okay. And he's pitching this guy, and it's like some Filipino guy with a really funny accent. Okay. Um, and at some point, like the guy pretty early on was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And Travis was a new salesman. And so he's like, well, I haven't gone through my spiel. So he kept pitching. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, so he kept going through his spiel, telling about how great, I think he was selling alarms were. And the guy eventually was like, hey, I told you I was interested. I am in sales. When the person tells you they're interested, you shut up and you close the deal. And then Travis was like, okay. And then he signed him up. And then later the guy was like back, I don't know, walking in the neighborhood or driving by or whatever. And he like yells over at Travis, remember, shut up and close the deal. So anyway, it's a great story. And so you're sitting there at that precipice of, so whether or not they ask you a buying question or they're like, they say yes, you want to assume that they told you yes. Okay. And so you say, generally you don't need to be home for the service, but if I call, texted me a couple days before, is that a great enough reminder? Okay, perfect. What's your first name? And then we aren't afraid of the concern, because if you talk and act in a way like you're expecting them to say no, that implies that this is a big decision, that a lot of people say no. You need to have so much assumption that it's like they're trying to like stop the wave from coming, because it's like, I'm just signing up the whole neighborhood. I just signed up your 10 neighbors next to you. Like, what's the problem, dude? Oh, okay. You have to have that sort of wave. And then, now that being said, you don't pressure them. Okay. They give you an objection, and here's how you handle it at that point of the sale. Okay. Oh, also another mindset thing. Up to this point, I don't like to go too deep into their concerns. I just like to acknowledge it, redirect, and continue on with my pitch. But at this point of the sale, if they're still saying, I can't afford it, I don't have any bugs, I just do it myself, or I need to talk to my spouse, at this point, I kind of generally just say, okay, this is a legit concern. So here's how I handle it. Okay, I'm just going to go through the script and we'll see how it comes out. Okay. Well, first I state I'm biased. Okay. Hey, that's totally fine. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm always going to tell you it's a good idea to hire me, but I definitely want you to feel comfortable. Okay. And then on every single sale, I virtually always resolve the concern of I do it myself. Okay. And it's this line right here. Well, and you get it. Like, what I do as a service, it's like going out to dinner. It's 10 times cheaper, obviously, if you do it yourself. But sometimes nice to hire somebody. And the reason why I love that line is because of how counterintuitive it is. Okay. Every other salesman in the history of the world, they try and say like, well, you have to hire me, but by the time you go out and buy all the product and remember to do it and do your research and get out and spray every 2 or 3 months, it's basically the same cost than if you hire me to do it. Okay. That's what they expect people to say. Instead, I use this as an opportunity to be, one, different. I say something different than anybody else says, and two, completely transparent. And when I say this line, it's 10 times cheaper if you do it yourself, they immediately trust me. Okay. So the goal is not to win an argument that they absolutely should buy from me. The goal is to get them to trust me, because as soon as they have trust, then it's less about buying. That once they trust you, then they can actually decide, do I want pest control? But most of them are just deciding if they can trust you. Okay. So I say it on every single line. You get it. What I do as a service, it's like going out for dinner. It's 10 times cheaper if you do it yourself, but sometimes nice to hire somebody. And if they brought up the spouse concern, yep, definitely talk to your wife. Obviously, we're not going to do anything unless your spouse is 100% on board. Okay. And there are some other lines that you can do and that you can practice. Today's training, I'm not trying to go through like in-depth, great lines to resolve concerns, more just giving you the tools to agree with them. Because in most cases, if you just agree with the concern and validate it, it will go away naturally on its own. Okay. So you don't always obviously do a spouse concern if they don't bring it up, but I brought it in there just as an example. Okay. So the next principle is the walk away. They also call this the door handle close. Okay. So the idea of a door handle close is you're in somebody's house and they tell you, okay, well, we need to think about it. And you're like, and you know, kind of new salesman would probably be like, well, you can think about it, but here's a price drop. Okay. And instead, an experienced salesman would say, definitely, I want you to think about it. And they'll stand up and they'll walk to the front door and they'll put their hand on the handle. And then right as they start to open the door, they'll go, oh, hey, just curious, what was the reason why you guys weren't ready to move forward with today? And just in the nature of you standing up, walking away, and acting like you weren't going to pressure them to do the deal now, and then asking what their concern is, you are 10 times more likely to get an actual honest answer out of them. Okay. It is such a powerful tool. People don't want to feel pressured into buying. Okay. So the way we do that in pest control is, in theory, well, if I'm on their front porch, I'll actually kind of like half walk away. And then I'll sometimes walk back and be like, hey, I gave you a card, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely call me later. And then I'll walk away again. And then sometimes I'll leave so quickly, like that they're almost like apologizing. Yeah, I just, and they'll start like talking at me. And then as they talk at me, I'll turn around. And it comes off super confident. It comes off like I'm not desperate. Similarly, what I'll do is when I'm in the backyard, cool, I'm not interested. Okay, no worries. Here's my card. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm always going to tell you it's a good idea, but I definitely want you to feel comfortable. And I agree with you. Like what I do is a service. I mean, it's like going out to dinner. It's 10 times cheaper, obviously, if you do it yourself, but sometimes nice to hire somebody. But you have my card, and then I'll turn and I'll just walk towards the front. And if you do it right, they're going to, like I said, they're almost like kind of feel like they need to like explain more. Okay. Like, oh no, they'll feel bad for you, but you have so much inner confidence that you're like, I don't need your deal. I'm going to go close 10 more people. But then we get to the front yard, and then now that they've relaxed and they don't feel like you're going to pressure you, you now have an opportunity to ask them questions. Okay. Hopefully they just bring up the concern on their own, but here's how I'll generally say it. As I'm walking to the front yard, remember that door handle closed. We're trying to figure out what the real concern is. And I'll say something like, are you guys a little bit interested, or what's your thought process? That's kind of my open-ended, seeing if I can get them to talk. And they won't always give you a real answer, but if they do, they do. Okay. And then also I'll sometimes fish for a hot button. Okay. A hot button is a selling point where it's like, it's that, hey, if they have ants, they're really interested in getting rid of their ants. Okay. It's risky to ask specific bugs. Okay. If you straight up ask people like, well, do you guys have ants? They're going to say, nope, don't have ants. Don't really need it. Okay. So you have to ask it in a way that it's like, excuse me, that that it is one, it's very assumptive. Okay. And uh you pull off of it really quickly, like it's not that big of a deal if they give you an answer that doesn't like validate the sale. Okay. So I'll ask you something like this. And bug wise, do you guys normally just see spiders, or what do you guys normally see? So it sets them up that they have to at least agree to spiders. Okay. And sometimes they'll be like, well, I don't even really see any spiders. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, no worries. Like, obviously I'm biased. Like, I'm always going to tell you it's a good idea to hire me. That being said, I find ants and spiders in everybody's house, but hey, obviously, I'm obviously, I'm biased, um, but hopefully by asking about the bug question, you can draw out, yeah, no, we get a lot of carpenter bees. And then you can do this next step. Okay. Well, hopefully you figure out a concern, and then you can go into that concern, and you just have to, we're going to do practicing about all the different concerns, or hopefully you can find a bug that they're actually interested. Okay. So if they have a concern, you resolve the concern. But if they have a bug, this is where you redirect, build value, and spiel. Okay. So, oh, you have ants? Oh, okay. Yeah. So the reason I'm amazing at getting rid of ants is we've actually got this termite product. So you know how like ants are related to termites. And so, and then anyway, there's a dozen different spiels that I could give. I don't want to, well, let me give you an example. Let me give you an actual ant spiel right now. So an actual ant spiel that I like to give is, yeah, okay, so oh, perfect. Well, if you do hire me, I promise to get rid of your ants. The only thing I ask that if you do hire me is that you don't spray like over-the-counter stuff like home defense, because the problem is home defense works pretty good on spiders, but ants, they can tell it's actually too strong. They can tell that it's bad for them. And so when the scouts end up dying because of the home defense, the ants just move someplace else. And so if you do hire me, I just ask that you just let me use my products, because I've got a product that's long lasting, or it's slow acting, and it's you'll actually still see ants for about 3 or 4 weeks, but then it'll spread throughout the whole colony and actually solve the source of the problem. Okay, so there's an example of a spiel. Another way to think of a spiel is almost like an alternate full pitch. Okay, it's here's a reason why I'm really good at my job, and you can do a spiel about ants. You can do a spiel about wasps that don't come back. You can do a spiel about a web-free guarantee. You can do a spiel about how we've got our license and we can treat the whole yard. You can do a spiel about an in-wall treatment. One of the best ways to structure any spiel, or even your basic full pitch at the beginning of the sale, is make sure you include the line, "That's important because of this." And just that phrase alone, "That's important because," establishes you as an expert, and it just has a magic, powerful set of phrases. Well, I might as well tell the story here. There's a study that they did at a copy machine at Harvard, okay, where people were standing in line to like copy things, and they did experiments where people would walk up and say, "Hey, can I cut?" And then, so much percentage of time people would say, "Okay, fine, I'll let you cut," or "No, I can't cut." And then they had other people walk up and say, "Hey, can I cut? I need to get to class." And then, a higher percentage of people would say, "Okay, yeah, fine, you can cut." But if they would say, "Hey, can I cut you? It's important because I have to get to class," they found that the percentage rate of people that allowed them to cut went way up. And so sneaking that phrase in there during your full pitch, and then obviously when you're given a spiel here at the end, it's important because. And so we'll do some more role plays, but hopefully you just pick up like you'll hear things from, Spencer or from me, just good, not one-liners, but, 5 or 6 sentence spiels that talk about how we're really good at this specific thing. That's a great time to redirect, build value, and spiel. Okay. So, the next thing that I like to do is a takeaway price drop. Okay. So my go-to one is, that being said, do you guys even have a mice problem? Oh, okay. Well, what I'm trying to say is, if and when you guys ever do decide to call me, I think I'd be comfortable lowering your monthly cost from, instead of 69, we could do 59 a month. I know it's not that much less, but I'm not the cable guy. I wouldn't raise it on you at the end of the year. And so come up with some reason, like mice is always my go-to. but some reason or justification to lower the price. Now, a lot of you very wisely say, well, I don't like to lower the price on the recurring because I don't think it gives me that much mileage as far as like getting a deal. And to that, I actually agree with you. I think it's probably not worth lowering the price on the recurring monthly charge. Unless you guys do something very smart, which is all of you need to start anchoring high. If your guys' go-to right now is to start at 59, just raise it $10. And then now you have no reason ever to not do the price drop later. Okay. Because you're now matched to where you always are. So if I agree that it doesn't give you that much mileage, but I think it gives you 5 or 10%. And so if you're afraid to charge everybody 69, start charging everybody 69, and then on every single sale, just drop it down to 59. And then there's no reason not to do it, or whatever it is. Maybe you're charging 79, drop it, or you're normally charging 69, just start $10 higher and know. And in your mind, you're like, well, what if they don't buy because it's $10 higher? Well, you know that, well, one, they might buy. And so then you'll get it. And if they bring up a concern, you know that you'll for sure lower it anyway. So there's no reason not to start higher and or do a takeaway price drop with, do you guys have a mice problem? Okay. And then the final transition is into the price drop. And that is on the next slide. So let me go over that real quick. Okay. So I broke it down into these bullet points to make it a little bit easier, hopefully, for you guys to memorize. Okay. So step one of doing a price drop is you can definitely call me later, or I can come back later, and then you then summarize the price. Okay. Let me add that in there. Okay. Yep. You can definitely call me later. I quoted you 149 on the initial and then 59 a month, but I'll be a little bit of a salesman on you. I'll make you an offer. And then you want to give a reason for why you can make them an offer, because I'd love to earn your business. Like I said, I do need to fill spots on my route for tomorrow. And it can be any reason. I'd really love to earn your business because we service your neighbor right next door. Okay. I'd really love to earn your business because I hate when I'm insanely competitive, and I hate it when the big national companies come in and steal my business. So I'd love you to switch to me from working. Okay. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. Okay. But give them a reason and make it confident. Okay. And then there's this idea in sales called please and promise. And it's where you look them in the eye and you say something like this: please give me a shot. I promise, see how you like me, see if it's worth it to you. I promise I will be the best darn bug guy you can ever hire. Okay. This is tried and true closing method, guys. I've had, I've sat in, I've had sales managers before give an entire training about please and promise. Okay. And to do it right, it's like the I'd like to earn your business line. You look them in the eye, please give me a shot. I'd like to earn your business. Okay. So please give me a shot. See how you like me. See if it's worth it to you. I promise I will be the best darn bug guy you can ever hire. Okay. And then here's a very important part. You need to, before you price drop, you have to reiterate that it's a recurring service and that you need them to try out for a year. The reason why is that if you just go, hey, you can call me later, but if you'll sign up now, I'll do your initial for $69. Like 30 to 40% of the time, I mean, this happened to me so many times my first 3 years. They'd be like, oh, yeah, let's do it. And I'd be signing them up, and I'm like, they think it's a one-time service. Dang it. And then you'd get all the way to paperwork, and you'd get all the way to paperwork. You'd ask for the signature, be like, whoa. I thought it was just one time for 69. And you're like, so it's so important that you reiterate it's a recurring service. Okay. Try me out for the year. And restate the price. Okay. Try me out for a year. I quoted you 149 in the initial, 59 a month. But if I can earn your business when I have you with me, I'd offer to do your initial tomorrow for $79. Okay. And you want to build in as much urgency as you can. Okay. So sometimes if you say, if I can do it tomorrow, I'll do it for 79. Okay. Then they'll be like, okay, I'll talk to my wife and I'll call you later. Okay. So sometimes either here at the top or right here at the bottom before I do the price drop, I'll add a line. So one way you can say it is, but if I can earn your business now when I have you with me, meaning you can't call me later. So sometimes I'll even add the line, you can call me later and we'll do the initial for 149. But if I can earn your business now and I got you with me, I'll do it for 79. Okay. So let me add that in there as a potential. You can you can call me later and we can do the initial. Actually, probably when I normally do this is right here above. Reiterate it's for a year. So while you're reiterating it, it's for a year. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yep, try me out for this year. You can call me later and we can do the initial for 149 and then 59 a month. But like I said, I'm being a salesman. If I can earn your business now when I have you with me, I'd offer to do your initial tomorrow for 79 bucks. Okay. So last thing I want to train on, while I'm just sitting here blabbering away, is the line, I'd like to be your salesman. Okay. Let me text this guy back. Okay. Okay. So luckily I'm here to teach you guys this line. So you've always known about the salesman line. Okay. But most door-to-door salesmen don't have this line. And you might internally feel this way while you're pitching, where it's like, well, if you don't use the salesman line, here's what the customer thinks. Okay. Oh, there you go, salesman. You're doing the initial for $79. How marvelous. I bet that I'm the only person in this neighborhood that got that great deal. Oh, sure. You really got some spots to fill. Like most salesmen, they go something like this, like, I tell you what, don't get me in trouble with the neighbors, but I really need to fill some spots tomorrow. So I'll do the initial for 79 bucks. Okay. And it's like you put on this whole dog and pony show about like how serious it is and how special the deal is. But then they're thinking in their mind, there you go, car salesman. You could have given me the better deal from the beginning, but instead you build it all up. And now you're making, and now you're giving me the actual cheapest price. If I keep telling you no, you're going to drop the price again. And I've had people tell me that before, and it always makes you feel like icky inside. So what we do is we 8-mile the concern. We make fun of ourselves and say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit of a salesman on you. I'm going to pressure you. And in my mind, that means this. I'm going to pressure you a little bit, and I'm going to give you a lower price for a now or never deal for being willing to sign up now. And you're going to be okay with me pressuring you because I just warned you that I was doing it. I love it because now that you've warned them that you're being a salesman, you can put all the pressure on in the world. And if you do it right, they're smiling at the process. Okay. So that is all the talking that I have. Looking at these two slides, what questions does anybody have?
I have one.
Go for it.
So when you offer I was thinking about this last night, when I was selling right next door to neighbors who knew the neighbor I had just sold. I was worried about giving them a better price because I thought that they might talk with their neighbor and be like, yeah, they're doing it for this price. And then say, like, what? That's so much cheaper than what I'm doing. Has that ever happened to you?
Maybe. I have one memory of it happening my entire career. And so, yeah, the thing that has happened is where it's like their family member uses our service and then they call the family member. And then they're like, wait, they're giving it to you for that. And that one's really easy to resolve because it's like, well, yeah, they've been with us for a while. We've risen our price. Okay. But I've spent years and years being anxious that neighbors were going to talk. And I have one memory where it actually happened. So I've had probably 100 deals where I'm like, I hope those two neighbors don't talk. And I'm like, they're right next door to each other. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, they know each other and they never talk. And so, yeah. Now, if you're like, they're like family and they live next door to each other, sometimes what I'll do is if you're really, really nervous about it, like, go and change like the price or tell the person that you're giving the better deal that you're giving them a better deal and not to get me in trouble with the neighbor. Like, I'm giving you a little bit better deal than your neighbor. But most of the time you just leave it and it's not that big of a deal. So it's a reasonable concern. And then we could obviously have a whole ethical discussion on the righteousness of giving one person one deal and another person another deal, but let's save that for another discussion. But I totally, if you have that concern, that means, and that's totally reasonable concern to have. And I have a lot of thoughts about it, but we'll save that for another day. But any other thoughts or questions? But to answer your question, is the chance of it happening is so small that I wouldn't worry about it, and just do what you got to do to get the deals. So, any other questions? Okay, so hopefully everybody has a copy of the beginner pest sales script. Again, I don't want you guys to practice specific concerns, except for maybe I do it myself and let me talk to my spouse. Okay. I didn't write out a full spouse response here because I wanted this to be more an outline format, because it takes a long time to remember exact word tracks. But I wanted you guys to just have, okay, I agree. I stayed unbiased. I agree with their concern. Oh, I totally get doing it yourself. I totally get talking to your spouse. The door handle closed. I walk away. Try and fish for their concern by asking questions or asking about hot buttons. Like, are you guys a little bit interested, or what's your thought process? And bug-wise, what do you guys normally see? And then if you get something to spiel about, like they give you a hot button, you spiel about it. And then you do the takeaway. Do you guys have a mice problem? And then you can do the price drop there. And then you go into the price drop. Okay. So let's just go ahead and take this outline. I want you guys to break out into groups and just practice just doing it again and again, and be really nice to them. Whoever you're role playing with, just let them get through the whole thing. Okay. Break up into pairs and just try and do this as many times as you guys can.